Well, we're ready to begin the process of installing Exchange 2003. Now, there are a number of things you need to pay attention to here. First of all, when we talk about installing Exchange 2003, that's not step number one. Step number one is going to require that we design our Exchange 2003 environment. Now, we've already talked quite a bit about Active Directory and so forth. Understand that since Exchange is going to use Active Directory as its directory service, we need to get very familiar with our Active Directory environment that Exchange is going into. Then we need to consider, how are we going to administer Exchange? What administrative groups do we need? What routing groups are we going to need, and so forth. One thing I will tell you, I mentioned this in all my Exchange classes and in the previous videos, and it sounds kind of funny, but it really is serious. Your second Exchange environment or your second Exchange design project will be a good one. Your third one will be better than your second one, and your fourth one will be better than your third one. That's just the way it is. You'll just have to do one of these. This is why not many people have this luxury with budgets and so forth the way they are nowadays. But you really need to set this up in a test environment, at least on a small scale, and begin to work through some of the processes on your Exchange environment. So first up, design your environment. Where do I want servers? Who's going to be my routing group master? Where are my routing groups going to be? What administrative groups and so forth? We'll talk about some of those issues as we go through here. The next thing we need to do, and this is something that's new. I'll talk about system requirements in the next video, but understand we're going to install Exchange 2003 into a Windows Server 2003 environment. Microsoft has made some pretty drastic changes in Windows 2003. As a matter of fact, many of the differences that you're going to deal with in Exchange 2003 and many of the new features come through Windows 2003. Hope that don't confuse you. But Microsoft has for a long time put out operating systems that are very similar to AOL, and I'm not knocking both of those, although I can hear some of you laughing already. There's one reason AOL is the #1 internet service provider in the world. What is that? Simple. I can train my dog to install AOL, right? A little bit of a stretch, but not much. If you can get your hands on an AOL disk, you put it in your CD-ROM, it automatically starts to run, you answer 3 or 4 questions, put in a credit card number, and boom, you're on the internet. People love that. Microsoft has for years built operating systems. You put the Windows 2000 CD-ROM in, you answer a few questions, boom, you've got a network operating system. Everything works. How does everything work? Well, all the doors are open, all the windows are unlocked, all the ports are open, everything's happening. Now, unfortunately, every hacker in the world knew this. So if all the windows and doors are open, then let's just pick one and walk through it. And therein is where some of Microsoft's security issues have come from. So in Windows 2003, they've taken the other attitude. When you install Windows 2003 and you finish the installation, very little functionality is working. For the most part, the doors and windows and ports and all are closed, and you have to open up the one you need. So first thing you're going to have to do here when you get ready to install Exchange, after you've designed your Exchange 2003 environment, is enable the Windows 2003 services that you need for Exchange to function properly. We'll talk about those in an upcoming video. You're going to need to run Forest Prep. This is going to extend Active Directory so that it will now hold Exchange information. Now, even if you've run Forest Prep in a 2000 environment and now you're installing Exchange, you still need to rerun Forest Prep. I'll remind you that about 150 times through the course. Then we need to run Domain Prep. We'll talk about each of these in more detail a little bit later on. Once we've got all this done, then we're going to install Exchange 2003 on the first server in one of our Active Directory domains. Now, understand these steps. The first 2 are going to be the most important. The first one you should have always done on Exchange environment. The second one, the Windows 2003 services, understand you probably want to get your hands on a video course from VTC about Windows 2003 or attend a class, because there are some serious adjustments in the 2003 operating system as far as Microsoft's concerned. Most of them had to do with security. Also, some shameless marketing here, just so you'll know, the Windows 2003 server includes the .NET framework, and .NET functionality is driving a lot of the changes in Exchange 2003. So with that, let's go look at system and server requirements for Exchange 2003 in the next video.